If you are a man looking for more energy, focus, and self-control, I have prepared a powerful ebook that will show you how semen retention can transform your life. Link in the first pinned comment. Have you ever wondered if all this talk about semen retention is true, or just another internet fad? Because, let's face it, there has never been as much talk about masculine energy, sexual power, and self-transformation as there is now. But while some say that holding back is the path to enlightenment, others claim that it is dangerous, useless, and even unnatural. So, who's right? The answer isn't so simple, but it's much more liberating than you might think. And maybe it has to do with something you've always felt, but never knew how to explain. The truth is that most people only know two extremes. Either they ejaculate without control, losing energy for nothing, or they try to repress everything as if desire were an enemy. Neither works. The true power of retention is in the middle of the path, where the body, mind, and spirit align with the creator of the universe. And when that happens, something changes. More focus, more clarity, more inner strength. It's not theory, it's practice. And whoever applies it, feels it. The problem is that no one told you the behind the scenes of this process. Nobody talked about the risks, the exaggerations, the cultural myths that make you feel guilty for being a man. Much less have they explained how the brain responds to all this, how the body reacts, or how much the media and experts confuse more than they clarify. That's why this video is different. He won't promise you miracles. It will show you what really works, and what is pure fantasy disguised as truth. You will understand why your body has natural reactions such as nocturnal emissions, why certain supplements are pure deception, and how limiting beliefs, often religious, sabotage your energy. See how science, spirituality, and culture intertwine in a dance that shapes your sexual identity, without you even realizing it. And, above all, you will discover how to transform all of this into real prosperity, without depending on any guru. Because at the end of the day, the real question isn't whether retention improves your health. The real question is, are you ready to discover the man you can become when you stop wasting energy on what doesn't nourish you? Even though it may seem strange to many people, the human body has its own forms of balance, and this also applies to the reproductive system. Nocturnal emissions, popularly known as wet dreams, are like natural valves that the body opens when sexual energy is not being consciously released. The man may be sleeping peacefully, dreaming about something he doesn't even remember, and the body decides it's time to let off some steam. It is not weakness, it is not an illness, and much less a sign of spiritual imbalance. It is pure physiology, and the creator of the universe was the one who designed this intelligence. The problem begins when the subject wakes up scared, thinking that he has lost his vital energy, or that this will affect his prosperity. It's not his fault, it's the culture that turned the natural into a sin, the misinterpreted moralistic discourse that spreads fear instead of knowledge. And then the confusion begins. The young man thinks he can no longer grow spiritually because he has suffered from pollution. But that's not how it works. The body does not betray the soul, it is just the vehicle. And like any vehicle, sometimes it needs to release steam to avoid the engine exploding. Imagine a young man who is seriously practicing semen retention, focused, disciplined. But, one night, he has a problem. If he understands the process, he takes it lightly. But if he has been indoctrinated by fear, he panics. The difference between the two is in knowledge. The first remains firm in its purpose, knowing that energy is being accumulated, even with an occasional automatic release. The second gives up, thinking he failed. And therein lies the error that needs to be corrected. Want a practical example? When this happens, take a deep breath, take a cold shower, stretch your body and return to center. Pray, meditate, write in your diary, thank the creator of the universe for the experience, and touch life. You don't have to beat yourself up for something your body does to protect you. The wisdom is not to react with drama, but with maturity. Whoever understands this, levels up. Those who don't understand are stuck in the same spot, fueling guilt that didn't come from above. And this understanding is just the beginning. Because if the body already acts like this on its own, imagine what can happen when the mind and spirit get in tune with this sacred biology. This is where a new stage begins, where myths fall to the ground and man begins to walk more clearly, even in issues involving medicine and the limits of science. It's easy to get lost among YouTube videos and internet gurus who swear that retaining semen increases testosterone, improves reasoning, and turns a guy into a superhuman. But when we look at what science actually says, the story is a little different. The human body, created with perfection by the creator of the universe, is an adaptation machine. It reabsorbs semen naturally when there is no frequent ejaculation, and this creates neither a miracle nor a catastrophe. It's just the body doing what it's always done, silently and efficiently. What serious doctors explain, and this is documented, is that there is no significant hormonal gain just by saving. Testosterone rises in brief spikes, but then returns to normal. This is not to say that retention has no benefits, but rather that they do not come from direct biochemistry. They come from the discipline, the focus, the clarity that the process teaches. In other words, the key to prosperity is not in the semen itself, but in the man who learns to control his own impulses. What I'm explaining here is much more detailed in my ebook, The Power of Semen Retention. There is a simple step-by-step guide for you to apply in your everyday life. It's really worth it. Many confuse retention with magic. They think it's enough to stop ejaculating to become an enlightened monk. But those who don't work on their mind and behavior remain stuck, even with full testicles. Science also warns about possible negative consequences in extreme cases. Tension in the pelvic floor, pain in the testicles, anxiety, and even irritability. So, retention is powerful, yes. But only when it is accompanied by awareness, balance, and guidance. A good example of practical application is to seek medical or physiotherapeutic advice if pain or discomfort arises during retention. Ignoring body signals is stupidity, not bravery. Do you want to retain semen intelligently? Practice pelvic floor exercises, such as male pomporism. And more, use the accumulated energy to create. Write, study, develop projects. The creator of the universe gave us this strength to build, not to accumulate like misers. Understanding this medical side helps to break illusions and begin to see the process with maturity. Because true retention does not happen in the body, but in the mind. And that is exactly why culture has so much weight in this process. And how certain beliefs and traditions can influence the way man views his own vital energy. Well, that's what we're going to explore now. Many people grow up hearing that losing semen is losing life, that ejaculation weakens the spirit, or that a man becomes impure after masturbating. These beliefs, deeply rooted in certain cultures, mainly in India, have shaped the view of thousands of young people about their own bodies. And the most curious thing, often, those who repeat this don't even know where the idea came from. It's just tradition being passed from generation to generation, without question, as if it were a commandment coming directly from the creator of the universe. But the creator was never against the body. He was the one who created it. And if the body has natural functions, like ejaculation, then they have a purpose. What misinformation does is distort the purpose and turn the natural into taboo. Many men, influenced by these dogmas, start to develop unnecessary guilt, feel ashamed of their desire, and end up repressing their energy instead of transmuting it. And this, instead of generating prosperity, causes blockages, anguish, and internal confusion. A very clear example is the so-called DAT syndrome, well documented in India. Young people believe they are getting sick because of the loss of semen. They report weakness, sadness, memory loss, without there being any real physiological basis. All the result of misinterpreted beliefs. And this shows the power that a narrative has on the health of the body and mind. When you strongly believe a lie, it manifests itself as if it were true. The body responds to the mind. To break this, the first step is to study. Don't accept everything they say as if it were sacred words. Do you want to free yourself from this cycle? Study bioenergy, psychosomatics, integrative medicine. Read The Body Speaks by Pierre Weil or Disease as a Path by Thorwald Dethlefsen. This is how you make space for your own connection with the creator of the universe, without intermediaries. The truth sets you free, but only when it is lived, not just memorized. And this is just the beginning, because when fear dominates the mind, dangerous solutions emerge. Attempts to correct the body by force, to manipulate virility with risky tricks. And that is exactly the next step of our journey. Understanding why so many people fall into dangerous practices thinking they are curing themselves. The search for virility has become a modern obsession. And when a man believes that his power is at risk, he does everything, even the unthinkable, to recover it. This is where so-called enhancement practices emerge. from unregistered capsules to extreme physical methods, such as hanging weights on the genitals. Yes, you read that right. And all of this in an attempt to potentiate masculine energy. But instead of prosperity, what these methods generate is pain, trauma, and, in serious cases, irreversible damage. These practices, which often go viral on social media, are packaged as ancestral or secret. But let's be honest, the creator of the universe didn't make us to walk with weights hanging between our legs. True ancient wisdom is based on harmony, not violence against one's own body. Masculinity is not proven in torture. And yes, of course there is bioenergy, but it is not activated on the basis of brutality, but of consciousness. Want a practical example of a smart approach? Instead of hanging weights, how about practicing conscious breathing and perineum contraction exercises? Techniques such as Mula Bandha, from yoga, or simply training the pubococcygeus muscle already bring real benefits. Additionally, studies show that meditations focused on the lower abdomen help channel sexual energy without harming physical health. This is respecting the sacred temple that is the body, a direct gift from the creator of the universe. It's sad to see so many young people spending money and health on clandestine supplements promising superpowers. The packaging is beautiful, the speeches are mesmerizing, but the truth appears later. Side effects, dependence, and in many cases, frustration. True strength is not in a pill, but in discipline and knowledge. Healthy masculinity is built with purpose, not shortcuts. Shortcuts, in fact, that almost always lead to the hole. Don't leave it for later. Click on the first pinned comment, purchase the ebook, and start changing your energy, your mind, and your life today. And this same drive for quick results leads many people to another classic mistake: the misuse of potent medications, as if they were magic bullets. And when the body stops responding on its own, dependence sets in. It is in this dangerous terrain that Viagra and similar drugs begin to enter the scene. It's easy to fall into the temptation of looking for a quick solution. The subject feels that he is not performing at the same level as before and, instead of investigating the causes, he resorts to the famous blue pill. The problem is that recreational use of Viagra has become fashionable, and it's taking a heavy toll. Medicines like this were created to treat real dysfunctions, not to replace self-knowledge or connection with the creator of the universe. Using them unnecessarily is like putting a rocket engine in an out-of-tune car. It seems powerful, but the explosion comes soon after. Many young men, in fact, started using Viagra not because they need it, but because they want to impress. And when the body gets used to this artificial stimulus, it begins to lose its autonomy. The result? Early erectile dysfunction. What was supposed to be an exception becomes the rule. It's like pushing nature out of the way, instead of walking with it. And there is no prosperity in this type of shortcut. What there is dependence, insecurity, and, deep down, a void that no pill can fill. A classic case is priapism, a medical condition in which the penis remains erect for hours, causing intense pain and the risk of permanent damage. Have you ever imagined needing to rush to the hospital because you wanted to do well on a random night? Well, it happens more often than it seems. And all because marketing sells power, but doesn't talk about the consequences. The creator of the universe gave us a wise body, but modern man insists on hacking this system as if there were no tomorrow. Want a safer and more effective way? Invest in practices that revitalize from the inside out. Regular physical exercise, clean eating, intermittent fasting, diaphragmatic breathing. Read The Power of the Subconscious by Joseph Murphy and start programming your mind for natural security and power. All of this generates more results than any pill, and on top of that, it strengthens the spiritual and energetic connection. This is what brings authentic magnetism. And the most curious thing is that, often, the effect of a pill does not come from the chemical compound itself, but from the expectation that is placed on it. The brain believes so much that something will work that it creates a response. And that's where we come to the next point: the power of the mind over the body, and how faith, or illusion, can even alter the body's chemistry. The human mind is a machine for creating realities. When a person strongly believes in something, the body begins to react as if it were real. This is the famous placebo effect, and it is much more common than you might think. If a man believes he is stronger because he is retaining semen, he actually feels stronger. But this isn't magic, it's neurology. The brain activates specific areas that increase self-confidence, presence, and even physical performance. All because of an idea cultivated with faith. And whoever plants faith in the Creator of the universe reaps prosperity, as far as science is still in its infancy to explain. On the other hand, the nocebo effect also exists. If a man believes that ejaculating weakens him, then even a natural act can leave him feeling bad. He blames himself, he feels weak, and his energy actually plummets, not because he has lost something physical, but because his mind has sabotaged his emotional energy. In other words, more than the semen itself, what makes the difference is the story that the person tells themselves. The mind commands. And that's why self-knowledge is the true master on this journey. A clear example of this is how two men can live identical experiences and react in opposite ways. One wakes up from nocturnal emission and thanks the Creator of the universe for the natural adjustment of the body. The other panics, thinks he has lost everything, and spends the whole day feeling discouraged. What changes? The belief. And belief shapes experience. It's like looking at the same sky. One sees clouds, the other sees infinite possibilities. Reality begins in thought. Do you want to turn this into practice? Retrain your mind. Say positive affirmations daily. Write, my energy increases every day, my mind is clear, my body is strong. Meditate with focus on the lower energy center. Visualize the energy rising and transmuting. Practice gratitude. All of this changes the internal frequency, posture, and even personal magnetism. The mind aligned with the Creator of the universe creates results far beyond expectations. And this brings us to a delicate point. If the mind can create realities, imagine the damage it can cause when it allows itself to be influenced by external sources, especially when these sources are celebrities, influencers, and even doctors who, often, have no commitment to the truth, only to an audience. Nowadays, all it takes is for an influencer to open their mouth and that's it. Thousands of people follow what was said without even thinking twice. Celebrities recommend supplements, gurus promote foolproof methods, and even doctors get in on the act, giving interviews that look more like commercials. And in the midst of all this, the loser is the common man, who seeks to truly improve. The problem is that, when you blindly trust public figures, the connection with the Creator of the universe weakens, because you give your power into the hands of those who don't even know you exist. The truth is that many of these recommendations are paid. They do not come from real experiences, but from advertising contracts. The celebrity isn't too concerned about whether the supplement works, he just needs to hit the sales target. And, in this scenario, the prosperity of those who consume is drained, both financially and energetically. The person thinks they are investing in themselves, but in reality they are buying empty promises. And when the result doesn't appear, frustration, guilt, and discouragement come. An example. How many times have you seen an ad for collagen, liquid testosterone, or ancestral powder that promises to restore virility? Now think, how many of these formulas have serious clinical studies behind them? Most of it is just marketing. What actually works is rarely popular. Because what works requires effort, discipline, and connection to spiritual principles. And that doesn't make any sense. It is not saleable. But that's what transforms. This is what the Creator of the universe has always offered, evolution by merit, not by magic. The practical path. Filter everything you hear. Before taking advice, do your research. See if there is a scientific basis, if other people have reported real results. Be wary of the 7-day miracle and the effortless transformation promised. Instead, strengthen your foundation. Study serious authors like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza. Both show how the mind, body, and spirituality connect, without deception, without shortcuts. That's the kind of influence worth absorbing. And while many still follow outside voices, there is one issue that few have the courage to face: the silent stigma surrounding masturbation. Shame, repression, misinformation, and all of this, you will see now, has a profound impact on the male psyche. Masturbation, despite being an intimate and natural experience, has become almost taboo in many cultures. We grew up hearing that it's a sin, it's dirty, it's something for weak people. And these ideas, planted way back, continue to echo in the adult mind, creating shame and guilt. But the Creator of the universe didn't create pleasure to be a trap. He created it to be understood. The problem is not in the act itself, but in the imbalance, in excess, in the way man relates to his own body. The stigma is so strong that many avoid even talking about the subject. And then, silence becomes prison. The absence of conversation becomes fertile ground for misinformation. Men grow up not knowing what is normal, what is healthy, what is exaggerated. And this generates anxiety, repression, and even energetic blockages. Sexual prosperity, which includes magnetism, vitality, and creativity, is compromised when pleasure becomes an enemy. And all of this could be avoided with a little more clarity and less judgment. For example, mindful masturbation, done in presence and without pornography, can even help with self-awareness. It is completely different from compulsion, where man seeks to escape something, to fill a void. The difference is in the intention. A man who knows himself, who understands his cycles and respects his body, has much more control and energy than one who keeps repressing himself. It's not about you can or can't, but about knowing what strengthens or weakens you, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Do you want to change this relationship? Start by observing your impulses, without judging. Feel when the desire comes. Is it due to lack? Boredom? Anxiety? The answer already says a lot. Meditate, breathe deeply, move your body, write about it. Masturbation doesn't have to be a problem. The problem is making it an addiction. When man aligns his sexuality with consciousness, he becomes more magnetic, more creative, more connected with the creator of the universe. This is real transmutation. And now that you understand the emotional and spiritual root of this stigma, it's time to go a step further. Connect all these topics in an introduction that will touch on the pain, activate curiosity, and show that there is a new, possible, and transformative path. You may even leave this video with more doubts than certainties, and that's great. Because that's where the transformation begins, in the discomfort of realizing that everything they told you might not be quite true. From now on, the choice is yours. You can keep repeating patterns that drain your energy, or you can start to build a new relationship with your body, your mind, and your spirituality. The question is, how long will you leave your power in the hands of beliefs that aren't even yours? What you learned here is not the kind of thing they teach at school, nor in bar conversations. But it is the kind of knowledge that separates men who merely exist from those who truly live with purpose. It's not enough to watch, you have to apply it. And this starts with small daily choices. Observing your impulses, questioning your beliefs, taking care of your body with respect, transforming guilt into conscience. The creator of the universe gave you this power. Are you ready to use? And if there's still something inside you that doubts, that resists, that finds all of this too intense, stop and think. Who would you be if you put all that energy that you waste on pornography, distraction, and anxiety into focus, discipline, and creation? How many doors would open? How much prosperity would you have generated if you had started a year ago? The good news is, you can start today. And it will never be the same again. Now, tell me, which of these truths moved you the most? Have you ever thought this way about retention? Comment below, I want to know your vision. Tell me which part surprised you the most or what doubts remained in the air. Let's exchange ideas. Here is a space to grow together, with awareness, without judgment. And of course, if this video made sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. There is a lot of content coming to help you expand, strengthen, and live with more awareness and presence. We are together on this journey.